Hey everybody, welcome back to LFBT Pod. I'm your host Jenna.
And I'm your host Emily.
And today we're here to talk to you about part 1 of our first book called A Little Life.
Let's give that author a shout out. Hanya Yanagihara.
Listen,
Okay.
we love your book, but we know we're going to butcher your name. Hanya Yanagihara?
I'm sorry.
That's my best.
I think that was good. I just love the book so far.
I do too. How many pages has it been so far?
It's like 90 something.
See, listen, I told you last time. Yeah, 93 pages.
See, we were almost at 100.
You learn so much within the first 100 pages of a book. And let me tell you, we got a great introduction to all 4. I think there's 4 main characters, right?
4 main characters, yes.
We got a great introduction to all 4. We have a little bit of their backstories.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to be talking about that today.
Yes, let's just dive right in.
Part 1, Lispinard Street.
Chapter 1, Lispinard Street.
Heck yeah.
Well, let's first give the characters, let's give each character a little bit of the rundown. And I guess we can start because we start with Chapter 1. We get introduced to Willem and Jude. And also, one thing to note about this book that I kind of just blindly didn't know going into it was that it's third person.
I didn't know that either.
And I love that.
I didn't think I would love it as much as I have. I just like that we're able to see it from a different point of view since there's so many characters that we're being introduced to.
Yes, I agree. And I know that I've read third person books in the past, but I guess it's just been so long. We went to the bookstore yesterday.
Since high school or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want to find more books from this because I forgot how much I realized I like this style of writing. I feel like you get such a broader scope of the story.
You do, including with the setting.
Because I'm always left wondering, like I'm just thinking off the top of my head, fourth wing. I wish we had Zayden's point of view. You know what I mean?
Oh, amen. Maybe that can be a later episode.
Right? I mean, we have the chapter, but that's not enough. That's not enough.
No. So let's do this. Let's get into
Let's do it. So we start with chapter 1 and we get introduced to Willem and Jude.
Yes. So they're poor. They're looking for an apartment. They get denied because their checking accounts are really low. Their savings are really low. They are what you would call poor. So it starts off with an urban city setting. So
and what let me ask you this question. What do you think, what time period were you getting from chapter 1?
I don't know why. I think it's because I don't know why I was literally getting 80s vibes.
See, I was back. I was in the 50s. Girl, I was back. They were wearing the trousers when they were called trousers.
I love that.
And then I had to Google it. It's supposed to be modern day.
You told me that earlier, and I was like, "There's no way." I'm not picturing that.
The more we get into it, I can see it too, though. So,
yes.
But let's just make that note that it is supposed to be set in today's period.
Yes. Well, like I said, they got denied, so they're looking for an apartment. Well, they meet up at their favorite and cheapest. Make that note, and cheapest restaurant. It's a Chinese restaurant, and they meet up with their friends, JB and Malcolm. And JB, is it JB who? Yeah, JB is like, hey, I have this friend, Annika, and she's looking to sublease her aunt's apartment. And so, what is it? Willem goes to meet with JB and Annika, and he instantly is like, well, this might be the apartment,
And to make note, wasn't it Annika that was hitting on Willem?
Oh, yes. Yes, Annika was all over him.
Yeah.
So we kind of get hints that Willem is just this so attractive male that everyone is obsessed with. Just his looks, the way
guys
he carries
want to be
himself.
him and the girls want him. Or isn't it the other way around? Girls want him and the guys want to be him.
Either way, I really don't think that's going to be a topic for later, I think. The sexuality of each character.
For sure.
Because we'll get into that later. But, so Annika she's thirsting. She is thirsting for Willem. Like, she is blushing. She is talking so much, which I'm like, relate. I love you, Annika. Like, I am 100% Annika, I think.
And let's talk a little bit more about JB, because I feel like he's the one that we get really introduced to first.
We do, 100%.
So my first impression of JB, which one, love the name. Two, he's just like, I felt like he was just a preppy kind of rich boy.
Yeah, no, that's exactly. I think it's his, not snarkiness, but kind of. He's a little bit snarky.
He knows he's all that.
He knows. Yes, he knows. He's very like, I know who I am.
But then there was also something that I read. I think I read this right. I might have to go back and look. But his family is an immigrant family.
Haitian
immigrant family. Yes.
So he's third generation.
Yes. Okay.
And he was raised by stars, women.
Okay.
He was raised by women. So he was basically like put on this pedestal of like, he's the king of the house, which they mentioned he's the king of the house.
And he's an artist, right?
And he's an artist, yes. So we really get into depth with that.
So JB is the one that introduces Willem and Jude to the apartment. And that is what this first chapter is really all about, is this apartment on Lispenard Street.
So let's go back to that apartment, because Willem does not notice the advances of Annika. He is more concerned about Jude, and we don't know why. So Jude, he has problems with stairs, we found out. So there's an elevator with the apartment, and Willem is really like, he's like, does this work? Is this like an active elevator?
Asking for Jude,
because he's worried. So we really see that like Willem is like a caretaker kind of vibe of Jude. Like, he just looks out for him.
And on the very first page, we find out that both Willem and Jude's parents are both dead, no longer with us.
Yes. And honestly, I thought it was just a joke, because...
Me too. I mean, first page.
Very first page.
It's right here. Our parents are dead, said Willem swiftly.
I literally thought...
Okay, strap in, folks. Strap in. It's on the first page. That's just a precursor to what's going to happen, I think.
I think so, too.
That we're going to find out in this book.
We slowly, figure out there is something wrong with Jude. We don't know what. In one way or another, handicapped. He carries around a cane. He has trouble walking.
And Willem is quote-unquote his big brother figure, taking care of him. He is always... kind of like the one of the four friends that is always looking out for Jude. Yes.
And I think we really see that all of them are kind of like, oh, Jude. They always feel sorry for him. And
I think also Jude and Willem are also, we got from the first chapter that they are the closest. Those two are the closest.
Yeah. And so they're moving in together. And
JB is living with his four other friends. Yes. And then there's Malcolm. So Malcolm is still living at home.
Yeah, he's the preppy boy, I think.
He is the preppy boy. Even more so than JB, I think.
I kind of like Malcolm because he appreciates and knows who he is. Just in the form of, like, he knows where he came from. His parents are rich. He accepts that. He still lives with them. Like, he still talks to them daily. But we don't really get too much of Malcolm right now. We just learn that he is still living at home.
But he's ready to move out. We know that
he's so ready to move out.
And didn't JB even offer that he could come live with him? But Willem was like, no, or Malcolm was like, no, I'm not. I can't do that.
I thought it was JB who, or was it Malcolm who wanted JB to move in? Oh no, Jude. I'm sorry, okay. Jude. That was Jude. I'm sorry. There's so many boys in this. It's actually.
Listen, I felt like I was keeping school notes when I was
for real, because there's so much going on, and I actually like that though, because you're never bored.
No, you aren't. And you are following all different perspectives. So it is kind of confusing, but I mean, I think it will get easier as we go on.
That's what I was about to say. Literally, I think it's going to be a lot easier because,
for sure.
I mean, we're at the beginning of the book too. So we're just getting introductions. We're learning about everyone. Who are we learning about next?
So then I think we're in chapter 2.
Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, well, chapter 1 is kind of short.
Yeah, chapter 1 was short. And then chapter 2 kind of starts talking. JB's on the subway.
Yes, JB.
This is where we really start to learn. This is JB's full, real first introduction, I think.
JB is an artist, like we said before. He sees art everywhere. And I think that's so beautiful. And I really like the way he sees the world. And we are going to go into that because that was one of my favorite parts of part 1 was the description of JB talking about his friends.
And I told you too, like, I related to JB in this chapter because we find out that he is kind of like lacking inspiration for his painting. So he's decided that he's going to carry a camera around and he's going to take these pictures and then he's going to paint those pictures later. Being a photographer myself, I'm always the picture friend.
Yeah.
You know? So I related to that, seeing picturesque moments, seeing the beauty in things that not everybody else sees.
Yeah.
And even I underlined one of my favorite quotes. It was like, "Tonight I'm a camera." He told himself tomorrow.
Like another one, like they're at a party and JB is following them all around and he says, "Oh, where is it?
Jude is my favorite to photograph."
Oh my gosh.
Yes, I remember that.
I'm sorry, but my heart was just like so full of love there.
So that he was the one that showed like most pure joy, right?
He showed every type of emotion.
Okay.
So that's why I think that JB was like really
inspired
by Jude because he just showed so much emotion.
For
so we know that Jude is actually kind of serious. But JB was able to get some really good candid photos. So like just imagine candid photos of a party going on and JB in the background taking photos, following people around, but he followed Jude the most that night. And oh my gosh, I love this part. I put all in my book because I'm like, oh, I love it so much. But this night, he traveled the room alert and purposeful and largely sober, taking pictures of his 3 friends as they moved in their own patterns, unaware that he was trailing them. And he just kept taking pictures.
He's a classical painter. That's what I had to look up. I was like, what kind of painter is he? He's the only classicist in the studio.
Yes.
He's a figurative painter, which has been out of fashion since the 50s.
Okay.
Though he secretly feels that there is something girlish and uncool about figurative painting, he's come to accept that is simply who he is, and there are artists there are artists with a better sense of color and discipline than JB, certainly, but they lack ideas, which I think that's where the camera came into play. That's where he kind of finds his inspiration.
So not only does it's not just photography. He takes those photos that he loves the most and paints them. And he mostly paints Jude.
Look, I even drew like a little camera on my nose.
I love that. That's so cute. We annotate our books. Like, she has got more notes than me, but we're getting there. It's my first time annotating like from the start, so I'm pretty happy about it.
So we gotta go more into these characters a little bit.
Yes.
JB and Malcolm, we also learn from I think one of the party scenes. They like to argue, I think, about who is more black.
Yeah. And that goes into like chapter 2, chapter 3.
Yeah, but it's like in a joking way. But yeah, they like to argue about who is more.
It is crazy, and I think we learned that. Was it Malcolm? Malcolm is mixed. So that's what I got from it.
And we also learned that Malcolm is like kind of feeling lost in his sexuality. It even comes out and says that he's
sexuality. What else?
He says just that he is lost.
He's lost in all aspects of life. He mentioned twice in the book that he was just lost.
Yeah.
And I really, honestly.
I mean, we go into more. Chapter 2 goes a little bit more into, Jude's poverty.
Yeah, but we only get hints of it. I think we're going to learn more about that later.
For sure.
But we're only getting hints at Jude right now of like who he is, how he grew up, just his whole.
I did get like the more of the self-conscious, the shy, reserved for Jude.
Yeah, I see him as very antisocial, but he comes out with his friends.
For sure.
Yeah. He really loves his friends. And he doesn't only have like these 4 guys, they have friends outside of the group, but they always come back together.
Yep.
We didn't go over this, but they met in like college.
Yes.
And they just kind of like they roomed together with, like a mixture. It's just this person lived with this person lived with this person. Like it's all over. They hopped around like crazy.
Don't we learn that JB is gay? I have that note.
So, yes. Yes and no. I feel like he's bi. I think JB is bi. But I think he chooses men more than women.
Okay. That makes sense.
Because I could have sworn that he flirts with everyone. JB is
I think there was something that said that everybody loves JB, just like anybody.
Yeah, he's just like he has this air around him that like just invites everyone in. And it might be the artistic side of him as well. Like he brings in all those types of people.
Yes. I feel like they're all pretty creative in their own way, but
yes,
attracting people. Willem is an aspiring actor.
Yes, he is. He's
such a sweetheart. Can we just talk about him for a second?
You know who I pictured?
Who?
Well, I saw this TikTok. Don't judge me, guys. I saw this TikTok of like Sam Claflin, and I imagine his hair like really long, like in that movie Me Before You.
Yeah. Okay.
And like just this handsome air about him. Sam Claflin, guys. He's a good-looking man, and I can kind of see it because he's like so attractive, and like everyone is just drawn to his attractiveness. But that is not the only thing.
Who do you think is on the front? Who do you think this is?
Who do I think that is? I think it's Jude, and I think he's in pain.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering.
I mean, we do get hints of that, like that he kind of feels left out sometimes because of like he can't do as many things as everybody else.
I have a theory about the cover.
Okay. Let's hear it.
I think it's a photo that JB took of Jude.
Okay. Throwing out theories, chapter 2.
Yeah, I really do think, because I was thinking when Willem and Jude, right after they moved in, and Willem really saw Jude in pain, like for real pain. I mean, he was clutching his leg and arm. I mean, his face was filled with pain. And when I look at the cover, I see Jude in pain.
No, I can agree.
100%.
Yeah.
And the only way, like, I was like, JB, like, I literally just got this theory now, guys. I'm serious. Like, about the photo.
She's like, I'm cooking this right now.
I was like, I gotta say it. Cooking it up. Cooking it up, guys.
But, okay, out of all 4 boys, I think Willem is my favorite so far.
Oh my god, it's so hard.
That might be harsh and jumping to conclusions, but I said what I said.
I said what I said, and I meant what I said.
Can we talk about?
I don't know.
Can we talk about like the biggest part of chapter 2, which was learning Willem's backstory, and it's about his brother.
Stop! I literally cried.
I knew you would. I haven't cried yet so far. So if you're more of like a reserved person, you're probably gonna be on my side. But Emily cries about everything.
I'm an emotional human being.
Let's hear how you did. Maybe you'll cry now.
I might. So we learned that Willem grew up in Wyoming, and his father was a ranch hand, not a rancher.
Not a rancher.
Don't say he's a rancher. He doesn't like that because his parents are very straight to the point, emotionless. I don't like them. I don't like them at all because Willem is not even close.
Actually, the way that I think about it now is that's probably why Willem is so sweet and we think he's such a sweetheart is because he never had that. So
yeah,
he's going to give it to other people.
So we kind of open up and we talked about the boys are all artistic. Let's go back to that just really quick because I have a note here. I put Willem sees poetry everywhere. Okay, and I kind of love that because I'm like, he's really in tune with his emotions, I think, and he cares so deeply.
Yeah, and the caretaker written.
Yes, exactly, and the fact that he sees poetry
in more sense than being Jude's caretaker. He's all of the I think he looks out for all of the boys. He's
the papa.
Yeah,
he's the papa figure. Yeah, 100%. And we also learn that Willem cares a lot about what JB thinks. It goes over that so much. JB is like, I don't know about you sometimes. Yeah, I don't know about you sometimes, Willem. How many times is that said during these 2 pages? Pages 50 and 51, if you want to look at it. And I just
page real quick.
So, okay, let's go back to Willem. Because we're also on that page.
Yes, yeah, that's where I am too.
So we learn that Willem has always been kind. I underline this, and it says, before he was a kind man, after all, Willem had been a kind boy. Stop.
Here she goes.
I know, I'm not gonna do it yet. No, and
I'm just realizing how much is crammed into there are so many topics on these 2 pages.
Oh my gosh, there's so much.
Not a rancher that is on this page. The Willem's backstory where we learn about his brother. His brother's name was Hemming, by the way.
Yes. So Willem is the 4th child. We learn that he is the only living one. Let's just start off
very sad. Very sad.
That sentence alone got me. But anyways, the oldest one was Britt, who died of leukemia. And then the second is Hemming. And Hemming was born with cerebral palsy. So we know that he's handicapped. He can't really do anything on his own.
And this is when I was like, okay.
Yeah.
This is why he loves Jude so much.
Yeah, no, it's true because
he relates the most to him. He knows how to take care of someone 100%. With a disability.
Yes.
It just fit.
He would talk to him. That's my favorite part. Willem would talk to him like any other person. He does not, when I think of Willem, he doesn't see disability as a weakness. You know, he automatically takes care of those people. And he's like, oh, you see this? He goes what do you see, Hemming, on the walks that they take together? And it's just so beautiful, the relationship.
We actually even get the kind of saddest part of it too. We get to see what happens when, Willem finds out that his brother is passing.
Yeah. He was struggling for a long time. So he passed when Willem was in graduate school. And I think that part really got me because he wasn't there. His mom literally begged him not to come. How could you do that?
I couldn't believe that when I read that. I was like, which also made me think more about Willem's childhood. If it was that harsh.
It had to have been harsh. Just the way she said that. Just that one part. I
don't understand, and I could never understand. It makes me so sad to think about. But
so we kind of see Malcolm a little bit more. He is offering.
Oh, the check.
The check.
The check.
So Malcolm starts he's like, do you need money? Do you need, like, because, oh my gosh, let's go back a little bit. Hemming, was he on life support? No, he just had a bunch of procedures done. And Willem is like, I need to be there, but I can't afford it. And Malcolm, coming from money, he was like, no problem. I'll write a check for you. And he did. He did write a check. And this is the kind of person Willem is. Malcolm is like, I don't need that money back. I don't need it. But Willem secretly, it was Jude's idea, but Willem secretly puts money into his jeans or something. Where does he put the money? He puts the money somewhere. He gives it back to him.
Oh, here it is. Jude had the idea of putting the money directly into Malcolm's wallet. And every 2 weeks after he'd cashed the check from the restaurant he worked on the weekends, he'd stuff 2 or 3 20s into it while Malcolm was asleep. He never knew if Malcolm noticed. He spent it so quickly, and often the 3 of them, but Willem took some satisfaction and pride in doing it. So it was Jude's idea, but Willem did it.
It just shows the relationship that they all have and how caring they are of each other, the best friends.
For sure.
Not the parents. Definitely not the parents. Well, so we learn a little bit more of Jude, actually. Just a little bit, just a little snippet. Jude is smart.
Jude is smart.
He is very smart. He helped all of them with calculus homework throughout college.
And we find out that he has a pretty rough past too, right?
We do, but we don't know much about it. We get hints all throughout, and it makes me want to read more.
Me too.
It really does, because I'm like, I want to find out. Oh my gosh, I bet those are the trigger warnings of the book, is when we find out about Jude's past.
And I think the biggest part of this chapter, other than, hey kitty,
hi baby,
here kitty girl,
Nira.
She's not with it.
No, she's not.
The biggest part of this chapter was that we saw the insight to Jude and Willem's relationship and the backstory of why Willem cares so much about Jude.
I honestly think it's quite beautiful. Do we have a little visitor?
I hope so.
Nira, are you gonna come cuddle with us? So we're filming at my place.
Come here, Nira. Come here, girl.
And Nira looks like she's in a cuddly mood.
You want to join the pod?
Come on, baby.
Aww. There she comes, girl.
Come on, honey.
Hi. Come here.
She's the sweetest. She is such a cuddler. Come on, honey.
Do you want to talk? Oh, hi.
Come on. Come on, honey.
Come on. Distractions.
Yeah, seriously. It's
Hi,
bad. She's
girl.
so cute.
You want to come up here? You want to come right here?
Come on, honey. She's just like, I'm just trying to see what you guys are doing.
Come here, girl. Come here.
Hi, baby.
Yeah, you want to hang out with us? You want to read the book?
She's so soft.
She's so cute. You can hang out here with us.
Yeah, come on.
Hang out here with us, girl. Talk about the book. At the end of this chapter, we get reintroduced to Malcolm, and we know that he is an architect. He lives the corporate life, works in a big office building. We know that he is probably the closest with JB. They bicker a lot about their race and who is blacker than the other one. And it's an ongoing theme,
it comes up a lot.
that goes in this book. But and then we really kind of learn the most, I think, about Malcolm's sexuality. He talks a little bit about him saying once, I think he was like, I believed once that I was in love with Willem.
Yeah. He is like, well, we all know Willem is attractive, but he goes over how attractive he is, and where is it?
He fancied himself already half in love with Willem, at various points in love with Jude too. And at work, he would sometimes find himself staring at Edward. So I think he favors men.
I think he does too. So kind of like how I imagine JB would be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I underlined this, and it says, in his early 20s, he had tried falling in and out of love with various people. He cannot love anyone. He has not loved anyone. He tried loving a lesbian.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And she only stayed with him to try and help him not be as confused, as sexually frustrated as you could say.
Which, okay.
Yeah. I put, oh damn.
So he really feels like the only thing that he's really good at is his job, architecture. Hi, Kat.
She's making biscuits.
I want to go get her purring.
Do it.
With the mic. Listen, y'all. Up close and personal.
She purrs really loud.
You're welcome.
So Nira's like so loud when she purrs, like you can just hear it across the room. So even at various points, like he's in love with Jude too. He thinks he's in love, guys. He thinks that he's in love. He doesn't know.
I was so confused reading the end of this chapter because I think it's confusing because he is confused.
He's and it comes across so well.
Mm-hmm.
Like chapter 3, the last chapter before part 2.
Yes. Chapter 3.
Chapter 3.
Chapter 3 was a fun one.
I liked it. You were finally able to see all the boys together.
Mm-hmm.
And
minus like the dinners and stuff.
Yeah, minus the dinners. But we actually get an aspect of like what their friendship is like, like all together. And I love that for them. So anyways.
We start by JB.
Yes.
Deciding that he wants to throw a party at Willem and Jude's house, their apartment. Their small, tiny, rundown apartment. So they do. Or they're going to.
Yeah, so they were used to getting together like every holiday.
Yeah.
So eventually Jude got sick and they stopped doing it for a while. And then that's when JB was like, hey, let's host,
Let's have a party.
I love this part, but like Jude, Susie Homemaker, as you said before, like it's so cute. He's just cooking. Willem comes home and he's just cooking,
Smells
vibing.
Something good.
Smells something really good.
Yeah.
No idea what it is. I wish I knew.
But then we get this panic. I felt panic at least.
The panic, like it
maybe that
switched.
Was just me being anxious. Girl.
It might be, but honestly, same because let's get into this.
If someone comes running to me and is like, I'm sorry.
Mind you, Willem is asleep. So all you hear is Willem, from Jude. And he goes, Willem, I'm sorry. And we're like, me anxiously reading this, I'm like, oh my God, what happened? So he says that he had an accident. He says, I'm sorry again. And he says, I need you to take me to Andy's.
Mm-hmm.
And
Andy is Jude's doctor.
Jude's doctor, yes. We also learned that Andy was a good friend of the group's.
He's a friend.
He's a friend, yes. So Willem is just freaking out because he doesn't know what's going on. Jude has his arm clutched with a towel. Yeah. He's like basically like blood everywhere.
Mm-hmm. And basically Andy shows kind of that he's a little worried, I think. With both of them
he's definitely worried. Andy is just as worried as Willem, I think.
But it comes down to Andy infers that Jude has done self-harm.
Yes.
And I think Willem was shocked when Andy told him that.
He was a little bit shocked, but he was also like, I think it's happened before.
Yeah, I do too. And we learned that a little bit later in the chapter too, because he was like, I knew. I think that's what
we know from like the very first chapter of Jude getting hurt and Willem saying to the mirror, like, you coward. Like, he called himself a coward, Willem did. And so we kind of see that again. Willem is just, he's shocked, but he's also not surprised.
And mind you, this all happened the night before they were supposed to have this New Year's party. So, all in all, Andy gets him cleaned up. His name is Andy, right?
Yeah, Andy. Yeah, no, his name is Andy.
Yeah, Andy gets him all cleaned up. They go home. The car ride home, silence.
Awkward.
Very awkward.
Willem is just thoughts racing through his head. Jude staring out the window. He's messy looking. Jude is like literally a mess in front of him.
Yeah. So they rode home, and finally they get home, and basically the conversation comes up that Jude says, we're still having the party.
Yep. And then it also goes into a little bit of like, this is why Willem thinks that it's been going on for a while, is because he wears long sleeves.
Yeah, that did come up. And even like Malcolm had noticed things before, and they had a past friend that Malcolm had noticed, like, she wears long sleeves because they knew that she had done self-harm to herself, but they were inferring and kind of putting the pieces together that this is probably what Jude was doing.
But they don't want to talk to him about it.
No.
Because of Jude's reaction.
Yeah.
So that's really sad, because we know that Jude is constantly in pain, and the fact that his friends can't even talk to him like about it,
or that Jude feels like he can't talk to
Jude can't. I feel so bad for Jude. He can't talk about it, and I know it's because of that trauma.
Yeah.
So it was JB's idea before the party to. He wanted to smoke. That's all he wanted. He just wanted a good old smoke on the rooftop. So they decide to all go up there. And it is freezing. They don't have any coats on.
Everyone, including Jude. Jude went too.
Yeah, so Jude, Willem, JB, and Malcolm. They're all up on the roof while JB wants to smoke. Let's just say chaos just follows JB everywhere.
I agree.
And me. But, they realized when they were trying to go back to the stairwell that the handle was locked, and they were
stuck.
They were trapped.
Stuck up there.
They were just trapped up there. How inconvenient. Freezing. No coats.
So they're calling, they're screaming. Nobody hears them.
Nobody.
And then Jude comes up with an idea.
Oh, Jude. He can't walk as it is, and he wants to be basically propelled down by their arms.
It's the only way. And the reason it's the only way is because they had a window break in the past. And Willem said that he was going to have somebody come and replace it. Nobody ever did.
Nope.
So Jude ends up jerry-rigging it to keep it closed somehow. So he's really the only one that can get it open.
He knows how to do it very well.
Nobody else can get down there and like open it because nobody else put it together other than him. So they've got to dangle him off the roof to get this window open, and to get back inside, to get the guest open.
Yes.
Into the party.
The fact that there's like the most injured man out of all of them is wanting to go first. And he still has, like, even though he's being propelled down the side, there is still a big length where he has to just fall. That is terrifying to me. No, thank you. And so Willem automatically is, like, really worried for him. Because why not? I would be, too.
Well, I mean, I think it's just inevitable that Jude was going to hurt himself.
100%.
I mean, it's a drop. It explained that there was a drop, and knowing that Jude has a problem with his legs, that we could infer that someone was going to get hurt. Maybe it wasn't Jude. Maybe it was Willem that would get hurt.
Could have been anyone.
Anyone.
It was a big drop.
So Jude jumps down, or they dangle him down, and then he has to like jump. It's very confusing the way they were like on a fire escape or some sort of...
I think it was a fire escape, and then the window was connected to the fire escape because you know, New York City, you know, rundown building. What do you think of? You think of that.
So they get him like close enough to where he can jump, and he jumps. But then he like hears something, and it's Willem. Willem jumps down too and is with him.
Yes.
So Willem jumps down, and they're on like this landing part, and he notices that there's something wrong.
There is something wrong.
There is something wrong, but they keep working and eventually get the window open.
They do.
Yes. They get the window open, and then that is when Willem really notices like Jude is hurt, and he's in pain. He
is breathing really heavily. And it's not from exertion, it's from pain. So Jude's like, oh, you better go get them, you know, your other friends who are trapped on the roof.
You know what he said? You know what Willem said? He said, fuck them, I'll stay here with you. And Jude laughed a little, although he winced as he did so, and carefully tipped himself backwards until he was lying on his side. Like,
it was.
They're all still stuck up there on the roof.
And Willem is like, I don't fucking care about them.
Are you okay? Or I'm going to make sure you're okay before I go let them in. Mind you, not only are they stuck on the roof, there's also people waiting at the door. Their guests have first started to arrive. And that's kind of like where we leave off in chapter 3. I loved everything about part 1. I'm so excited to learn more about these characters. I am so excited to learn more about the plot and why people think it's so sad, because there's been some sad parts, but I haven't cried yet. We're going to have a cry counter for both of us because it's going to be very different. But next episode, probably because I heard the next part that we're getting into is very sad, we will have cry counters for both of us on both sides.
Mine's gonna win, obviously, if we're
You're gonna be up there.
Yeah, I'm gonna be up there. I say that I've cried, but like I've honestly just like really teared up. At part 1, it was such a good introduction to all the characters.
Yeah, I really liked it. Really enjoyed it.
I was really shocked. I wanted to read more, but we had to cut ourselves off.
Not tonight, though. We're reading tonight.
Yeah, tonight after this episode, we are reading The Postman.
For sure.
So listening, we are going to be going over parts 2 and 3 next episode. We're going to be getting into depth just like we did on this first one. Hopefully a little bit easier since this is our first time.
First one. Please give us feedback. Share it with your friends. We're excited for this new adventure. And so if you're reading along with us at home, make sure that you do read the next parts 2 and 3 with us. We are going to be discussing that next episode, and that will be dropping next Wednesday. So join us next Wednesday for our next cozy reading adventure.
And bring your cats.
And bring your cats.